I'm building brick by brick. See, baby, don't play with my shit right now. When I'm on my throne, I'm still how girl get against my own, my own. And I'm building brick by brick. See, baby, don't play with my shit right now.
Man, happy Tuesday, man. Welcome. We are live, man. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Nashville Caveman Show. I'm your host, Damo Unleashed, and I have a really good friend of mine here. So go ahead, plug yourself in and plug anything in you need to plug in.
Man, what's up, y'all? Sorry. Taking something has happened.
All right, I'll go ahead and take over,
My
man.
bad.
What's going on, y'all? It is Halloween. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic right back. Go ahead.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? Scott Black. First of all, I'm glad to see another week. Glad to hear from you, Damo. Man, Tuesdays are an exciting day because it's podcast Tuesdays. Again, like you see on the bottom of his screen, the D Bling Radio Show Tuesday nights from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. You can get there at www.offtopradio.com. And the music that we play there, if you want to hear streaming, you can go to www.offtoprecords.net. And I'm just so proud. I don't know if y'all can see me right now, but I'm so proud that my Denver Broncos won yesterday. So I'm sitting here ripping with my Denver Bronco hat on because I didn't expect that to happen.
Man, you know what? It was savage that after you guys had won that game, they played the Taylor Swift song. That was hilarious, man.
Man, I did not even know they played that. I had no clue.
But yeah, it was funny. You got to go back and watch the clip. It was pretty funny, man. But I was happy for y'all, man. And you guys actually did better. You guys actually did better than my team. My team actually played on television, man. Well, one of my two teams was the Cleveland Browns in Seattle. And man, I was punching the air. Let me tell you, I was punching the air. I wanted to drop kick my TV after I seen what happened at the end of that game.
Gotcha. I mean, I watched it. What was the final score?
Well, we lost 24-21, but let me tell you what sucked. It was 2 minutes left. We had a 3rd and 3. Now, on 3rd and 3, you're at the about 40-yard line.
Right.
Everybody in the world knows that you run the ball. Right. If you don't make the 3 yards, you can either punt it, or if you get stopped a yard short or an inch short, you could go ahead and run it on 4th and then run the game out. You would have forced them to run their timeouts out. You would have closed the game out.
Correct.
And you know the one thing I hate about NFL coaches sometimes?
What's that?
As smart as they are, sometimes I think they're smarter than they actually are.
There's a thin line between it.
What you say?
There's a thin line between sanity and insanity. It is.
Yeah. And it's like, don't outsmart yourself. Don't outthink yourself and beat yourself. A lot of times people beat themselves in life making a move that, taking a harder route. Sometimes, man, just take the direct route. And then, I think we should have won that game. Actually, in essence, the Cleveland Browns are 4-3. They should be 6-1. Because they should have beat Pittsburgh also. We was beating Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh wasn't doing nothing on offense. Why drop back the pass when you can just run the ball, punt it, and force the other team down the field? Especially if your defense is playing good.
Correct. Do you think that Deshaun Watson is living up to his contract?
I think he's hurt. And I think that, I don't know if for anybody who has had any shoulder issues. I've had shoulder issues where when that shoulder, anything in that rotator cuff when it feel like you to have like it's weak or anything wrong with it. And you got to think, a quarterback, when he throw the ball, he got to throw it with a lot of velocity, right?
Yep, that's true.
You cannot put somebody out there before they're physically ready to go out there. And I just think that in Deshaun Watson's case, Deshaun Watson, man, did you see the hit against the Colts? Because he was out 2 or 3 weeks, and then he got blasted against the Colts.
Yeah.
He got hit so hard that his head bounced off the dang AstroTurf like, and his shoulder got drove into. And I said, oh man, this dude gonna be out another 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about the coaches. Well, then it's also with the GM. Sometimes they're so smart, they're stupid because they see him as a number. $256 million guaranteed. They could care if he was missing both shoulders. They need their return on their investment, and that's why they're probably putting him out there before it's time.
Well, that's exactly why they're doing it. And you know what's so bad about that? I mean, man, he can't throw the ball if he ain't got a line to block for him. Your line can't get your quarterback killed. You got some big dudes in there. All right, I understand having size, but they got to have some quickness. These dudes move like, man, like they've been in, I don't know what's going on. They move like defensive linemen trying to pass block. I don't know, like you got to protect the investment. If we're going to talk about the investment, please protect the investment. Get some linemen.
Right. I call it the Andrew Luck syndrome because you remember how he retired so early. He retired early because he couldn't keep doing it. He never came out and blamed the offensive line. I'll give him that. We all knew why, but he never said it out of his mouth. But we knew why. You're right about that. You're right.
Look at Baker Mayfield. They had Baker Mayfield. Why was Baker Mayfield? They ended up trading him for Deshaun Watson. But what happened to him that year prior to? Shoulder injury. And they made him play through. They made him play through it, and then they punished him because he played poorly.
Right. And so I think what they was trying to do is let's get rid of Baker, bring in Deshaun, right? He's a little bit more mobile. So that way, when you have like a mobile quarterback, it makes your offensive line look good sometimes because if the offensive line can only hold for 2 or 3 seconds, the quarterback has a ticker in the back of his mind. Say, okay, second number 4, I need to scramble and move around. Well, if Deshaun is hurt and he's not scrambling and moving around, then the offensive line got to pick itself up. If not, it's going to be a long season.
You know, my other team got a mobile quarterback, and he's a rookie, Anthony Richardson. And you know how he got hurt?
How?
Running out. He did a bootleg.
Yep.
Harold Landry from the Titans hit him. And I knew then, I said, he hurt. Little time ago for the rest of the year. And guess what's hurt? He had to get a rotator cuff surgery.
Man, it's a dangerous game. You can stay in that pocket and get hurt, or you can run out and get hurt. It's and granted to these offensive linemen, because they'll never say it. An offensive lineman will make every bit of $13 million a year. Maybe the highest one is making 15.
Right.
And you won't need to protect this man who's making not 10 times more than I'm making. Yeah, sometimes it's a psyche type thing, If he's making all this money, I'll do my best to my 13 million, and he's gonna do the worst to he's gonna do what he can do up to his 256 million guaranteed.
Let me ask you this, because here's the real question. Well, we know last year he was suspended for over half the season. So
like 11 games.
11 games. He got 6 games out of them. Coming back off of a year and a half, missing a year and a half, probably even a little bit more than that, right? Well, this year he's hurt. He's still got a couple years on his contract. The question I think that us Cleveland Brown fans have to answer is this: if we get a Super Bowl out of it, is the money worth it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes,
we can't just go. It's not just about this year. It's about this year, next year, the year after that. Because let's say we put him out there he does further damage to his own.
Right.
Then that's another year you're not going, he's going to be out, and that's another year you're not going to miss the Super Bowl. So if the goal is the Super Bowl, then the objective is to get him fully healthy. Because yes, these games matter, but as long as you're winning enough where you're not hitting the panic button, let the man heal.
That is correct. Okay, so in a different world, you let him sit out 2-3 weeks, right? And then the backup quarterback comes in to be Tom Brady. Now you have a quarterback controversy because the backup then came in. He's looking great. He done went three games in a row. Deshaun still looks like he's a little bit hurt. In Deshaun's mind, he ain't worried about it. Whether he gets cut, trade, fired, or sit on the bench, that was 256 guaranteed.
Right.
That wasn't one of those incentive contracts where he only gets so much up front. The rest of I mean, it's all guaranteed. So if they fire him today, he's going to go home.
He's getting that money regardless.
So yeah, he's getting it regardless.
Right.
And that's why they were saying. That's why the other owners were saying to the Cleveland Browns, "What are you doing?"
Well,
what was the point of doing that?
Well, the owners, what they got to look at it as this, right? A lot of them teams that was complaining about it, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, some of them, first and foremost, were outside of Cincinnati already had Super Bowl trophies.
Right.
Cleveland's owners are only worried about the Cleveland Browns winning a Super Bowl. Of course, they want to make it tough for them other teams. Look at Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and they're negotiating. Right. That was tough. They made it complicated for them by signing Deshaun Watson to that kind of contract, and that's what you want to do.
Correct.
You're not looking out for the best interests of other franchises. It's just like if you have a business. If you make a business deal that is in the best interest of Sky Black LLC, your business, you're not really worried about how that, to a greater degree, how it affects other businesses, because your priority is your business.
That is correct. But you know what I won't do? I won't buy a Porsche to show off.
Right.
I won't do that.
Right.
You know, this Chevy Cavalier is going to do the same thing as this Porsche, right?
Right.
So with Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, you've spent all this money on these quarterbacks, right? And Lamar Jackson is kind of earning it because I've seen a lot of games where his offensive line was terrible, but he used his legs to keep those games going.
Right.
And Deshaun Watson, even if you keep him, you've given up draft picks. You've spent so much money, you can't even fix your offensive line. Like, you can't even go out to free agency and get one. You already in the hole.
But
every year the Cleveland Browns are in the hole, so all they can do is get minimum, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but minimum salary players. That's it. You spent all your money on this one guy. It takes 11 people, but you put all your chips on the table for this one guy.
Well, with a franchise like the Cleveland Browns, let's think about what they've done with their draft picks. If you're drafting busts every year, what value does the draft picks only have as much value as you actually get when you use them?
That's right.
So if you're a team like the Tennessee Titans, they are a good team when it comes to drafting players. A.J. Brown, they never should have let him go, but that was a great draft pick, right?
Correct.
Derrick Henry, great draft pick. Let's look at some of the Cleveland Browns draft picks. Johnny Manziel, Brady Quinn, Mingo Bartavius. Some of these
I thought he was pretty good.
Huh?
I thought he was pretty good, but go ahead.
He ain't even in the league. Think about the Cleveland Browns.
I'm talking about in college.
Oh, in college? Oh, he was a hell of a player in college. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
The Browns been drafting players that were great in college, but then they get to the NFL and a lot of them not even in the league anymore. So it's just like...
Do you blame the Cleveland Browns or do you blame the scouts?
I blame all of them. The scouts, the GMs, the owners, because one hires the other. So the owner hires the coaches hire, the GM hires, and the scout is hired by somebody. So yes,
Correct.
I can blame that scout, but who hired?
I see. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Snowball effect. Yeah, I see.
You think of who they passed on. They passed on. They had a chance to draft Deshaun Watson. Passed on. They actually traded the pick, and the pick that they traded back, they end up Houston ended up taking Deshaun Watson. Right. They originally could have had. You know who else they passed on?
Who was that?
Patrick Mahomes.
I didn't know that. I know a lot of teams passed on him. I heard.
Yeah.
Andy Reid was giving up. He about to give up his wife to get to that spot to get to Patrick Mahomes. Yeah.
So when you think about Cleveland, even passed on Ben Roethlisberger, they had a chance to draft him. You think about all the chances they've had. So it's like, why value these picks if you're going to go ahead and you're going to draft garbage cans? Correct.
Well, then what about the picks that they got that were really good, and then after 3 or 4 seasons, they sent them off for whatever reason, for money, cap issues, for trades, other drafts, because they have had some good players over the years. It's like the Cleveland Browns is the place where you go to get your career started. And then after about 4 years, you go somewhere else to make your money. You know what I'm saying? Just like the Oakland Raiders is the place where you go when you want to end your career. You won Super Bowls, you made millions of dollars, you just need a few more years, you go to the Raiders. You know what I'm saying?
Will you really look at it, Scott? Most of these franchises are like that. Most of these franchises, you go to get your career started in hopes of getting that first big contract, and then you leave to go find something better.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
And so right now with Deshaun, I mean, he's probably doing his thing. You know, he's putting fans in seats, selling tickets, selling jerseys, commercials, but it's not relating to the football field. And that's what I see what you're saying.
Right.
But that's what happened with your boy. That's what happened with Baker Mayfield, right?
That's the same thing. And and here's what I think, this is what, as a Cleveland Brown fan, what upsets me the most. They are judging and they are impatient with Deshaun Watson, not only because of the contract. It was like a $235 guaranteed contract. But it wasn't just the contract. It's the baggage that came with it. So Deshaun Watson is judged differently based on the baggage. But the thing that upsets me is, let's look at Baker Mayfield's baggage before he got to the NFL. The crotch grab. You know what I'm saying? The running from police. He wasn't held to the same standard and judged by the same standard by the fans as Deshaun Watson is. And so,
what about Johnny Manziel's baggage when he came?
Another one. They decided to overlook that. You know what I'm saying? And we've seen them problems in college. And yes, they transferred to the NFL, right?
Right.
And he got a pass over and over. Here's Deshaun. Correct. They're crushing Deshaun in Cleveland right now. But you know what? Deshaun only got to bring them one Super Bowl, and all is forgiven. If he bring Cleveland just one Super Bowl, he will be the biggest thing in Cleveland ever, even bigger than LeBron James. He will succeed LeBron James.
I agree. Well, then what's step one then? Trying to get you a good offensive line, because if that's what you're trying to do, get you some good Pro Bowl tackles, good Pro Bowl guards, Pro Bowl center. If you ain't got the money to do it right now,
well, you got to get it. Well, right now they got to get him healthy, because if I don't want a quarterback, especially his shoulders, it'd be one thing if it was his leg, but his shoulder is the $235 million that we're paying for. Right. It's what's up here and what's in up here, right?
Right.
So we got to have that healthy. If it was his ankle, if maybe even it was a knee issue, you can probably put him out there, put him in. You know what I mean? You don't want him to get hit with a bad knee or whatnot, but you can put him out there. But a shoulder, you don't want to want him getting hit with a bad shoulder because it's not going to get better. The most important part of the season is not the beginning. It goes back to that saying. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
How you finish.
Long as they get to the playoffs and he's healthy, mission accomplished. If you get to the playoffs and he's hurt, then what good does it do? If it's going to limit.
I think right now your Browns are burning the candle at both ends right now, and they don't know which side to blow out. I mean, that's being stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. That's hard. That's hard.
And you think about it. That game that they should have won yesterday, had they won, they'd be 5-2. Would they even be talking about Deshaun?
Right.
No. So it's the coach. The coach blew that game. The coach isn't, and that staff isn't helping in anyway because they're losing games. And then he's giving out this information. They're giving out this information. None of it makes sense. So it makes it even look worse.
Correct.
You know?
You're right. And I can understand the frustration as a Cleveland Brown fan. I get it. It's understandable. Because right now, all you can do is because these people that's in the room are supposed to be the smartest people that you could get. And so you would think sitting in this room, coaches, scouts, GMs, whoever, are smart enough to be able to put the pieces together to at least make sense. But when it doesn't make sense, then I understand the frustration. I get it.
Yeah, because it's one thing if the players lose the game. It's a whole nother subject if the coaches lose the game. When the coach loses the game, it hit different. Because that's not who you expect to lose the games.
Correct.
You know?
You're right.
But other than that, man, you know, the weekend was pretty cool. Man, you know, I brought home my Player of the Year award.
Congratulations. I like that.
Man, we had a lot of fun, man. I was my Halloween costume was Sweet Tooth. They was like, Sweet Tooth, and I was like, yeah, I'm Pinky's cousin. You know, and I was able to bring home that trophy. It was pretty cool, man. My daughter, my youngest, she came with us. It was me, my wife, and my youngest daughter. My youngest daughter, she had fun. They set up a 3-room haunted house, which was absolutely phenomenal. They did a hell of a job. It looked super professional. So kudos to Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations on that. I'm glad y'all had an awesome time.
Man, you had fun too, man. You did one of my favorite things to do in the world, buddy.
Man, I hadn't bowled in so long, man. I tell you what, I don't think I broke 100. We played 2 games. Man. I think the highest I got was like 79, 83 or something like that, man. Bowling is an art and a science. You can't just throw that ball down the lane. You have to know what you're doing. They make it look easy on ESPN, but hey, you got to know what you're doing.
Have you almost done this? I had a bowling ball, and my fingers got stuck in the bowling ball as I was throwing it.
Yep.
Man.
I've done that too. Yep. I've seen people cross the line and slide and slip and fall. I've seen people dive down the lane with the ball. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've seen the balls look like they're about to go in the gutter and then they spin back out and hit a strike. I mean, I've seen all types of stuff.
I seen somebody bowl in their lane and the ball end up in the other person's lane.
I've seen that too. Yep, that's true. I've seen it all.
Did y'all do lunar bowling or did y'all just go during the daytime?
During the day. We just went during the day when a lot of people wasn't there.
Yeah, I love the lunar bowling, man. When them lights is lit up and everything just, you know. Yeah. It looked like Tron, basically.
Yeah, well, we call it cosmic bowling. Yeah,
right. Cosmic bowling. There we go.
Yeah, and so I want to get my own personal bowling ball. I've been wanting one for years, but I don't bowl like that. So it wasn't no sense in me spending $200. So maybe now I might, because the bowling alley from my house is just like right down the street. So even if I go by myself just to get some practice in, I can do
You
that
got,
because I sure need it after Sunday. I sure do.
yeah, if you ain't bowl 100,
Yeah, I
I've
ain't
been there, brother.
going.
Man, did you guys go? Okay, so in your area, do you guys have a strike and spare?
The name of it's called Pro Bowl.
Oh, Pro Bowl. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we had a strike. We had one in our area. It was called Strike and Spare, which
I've
I
been to
loved
those.
it because it had the bowling alleys. It had the little section for arcade.
That's
Then it
right.
had the little pool section and the little bar with the TVs. It
That's
was
right.
really nice.
That is right. The Strike and Spare a lot of people went to. This probably before you might even move down here was in Hendersonville.
I've been to that one too.
They had the go-karts. They had the ice skating rink. They had a bar that was upstairs where you could drink and do karaoke. They had the bowling. They had the arcades. They had the food. They had it all there. And man, that one in Hendersonville, man, that was the place to go back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
You know, the one we had was on Charlotte. Okay.
I went to that one too.
That one had the bumper cars. It had laser quest. It had the little area with the little games like the little Chuck E. Cheese games.
Yep.
It had the party area, a nice size arcade area.
Yes.
That
one in Hendersonville did too. I didn't know if that was the same people that owned both of them, but everything that was in that one on Charlotte was originally was in that one in Hendersonville. Yeah, bumper cars, all that stuff. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So is it gone now, or is it still there?
From what somebody told me, it's still there. It's just a little bit more up the street.
Got you.
Yeah, because I haven't. I thought last time I had to go to Hendersonville, I had to do a field inspection, and I didn't see it, so I thought maybe it had went out of business. But I'll Google it and look it up to see if it's still there, because I would love to go back and just see where it's at.
That was a gem. You hear me? Like, I hate to see those businesses being run out of Nashville.
Right. Because the one on Charlotte might not be there no more. Right there by Taco Bell.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not. Okay. And it used to be packed. I tell you
what you said, yes.
On the weekend, you go there on the Friday, Saturday night, that was the place to go. And it was shocking because there was never any crime or anything crazy ever happened in the areas.
Nope.
Because we're actually located in a good area.
Really good area. Really, and it makes me think about the skating rinks. I think the Brentwood one is still open and the Rivergate still open. And on Rivergate, they used to have adult nights on Sunday nights in Rivergate. So you had to be like 25 and older to get in. Man, it was like the club in that mud on Sunday nights. It's called adult nights or old school nights or whatever it was, where the older crowd came in and they played old school music, and you had the little dance teams out there. I don't know if they still do that or not.
Yeah, it's like a lot of those. I'm glad that you and I were raised in them times to remember some of these great. And I was glad that I moved down here in enough time to experience something like Strike and Spare, because in Ohio, we didn't have anything like that. I mean, we had Laser Quest, we had bowling alleys, we had game rooms, but not combined as one.
Right. I understand, but I don't know what has happened with a lot of places here. Maybe just the cost of doing business put them out of business. Because at one point in time, there was so much stuff to do in Nashville. It was crazy. Like, people were coming from Gallatin, Murfreesboro, Springfield, Clarksville just to party in Nashville.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't nothing to do in their towns. So they would come here. But I guess over time, man, I don't know what has happened.
Yeah, man, which kind of, want me to jump into this show.
Okay.
I was, with everything going on in the world, and usually on my TikTok, I get into world views and then the politics, and it made me really think about something. Are Americans really free? Well, I mean, I know we like to call this the land of the free, the home of the brave. But there are things that have taken place. Maybe I didn't recognize these things when I was young, or even as a kid. But now I see it and I'm like, I don't know if we really as free as we think we are. I give a prime example, and this will make me think of this subject. So we get taxed. Our checks, we work hard, our tax dollars, our checks are taxed. We get our money, we go spend our money, that gets taxed, right? So say I spend money on a home. Well, the money I spent on that home has got taxed and then taxed again. Then my house get taxed. Then every year I'm paying tax. And it's like my money is not getting just our money. It's not just getting taxed once, twice, three. It's getting taxed over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And we're paying taxes to politicians who go from thousandaires to millionaires, right?
Right.
And then we see our money going to places, in other countries or to people who aren't here legally.
Right.
Meanwhile, we can't even get help with our own money. Now think about that. I don't know if you heard this story, but in Chicago, they bust in 40 migrants and they're giving them $9,000 6 months free of rent, right?
Okay.
And they're giving them a furbished care package to furbish their homes. Now, what taxpaying American can get that kind of assistance from the government? This is what our own money.
Nope, that's economy, right? Like you have to what's up, malfunction? How you doing? Am I able to type? I don't know if I can type him in here. I guess I can't type him. But anyway, shouts out to malfunction, man. How you doing? Yeah, nice hat because we just won. But anyway, Damon, that's the whole definition of economics, right? So if they come in with nothing, then you take people who have something and you allocate their money to help those that has nothing, right?
Right.
So they come in poor and the middle class bitches and moans about taking care of them. Well, the middle class also bitches and moan about the rich not paying their part, right? So if I'm in the middle class and I'm bitching and moaning, hey, the rich is not paying their part and they're not doing this, this, and this. Okay, so when these people come from these countries where they're cutting off people's heads, killing kids, and all they need is maybe a year of free rent and food to get on their feet so they can become tax-paying Americans, and they come to me and say, hey, do you mind helping? Well, do I have the right to bitch and moan? Because I'll bitch and moan as a middle-class person about, well, the rich don't do this, and that. But then when somebody who has less than me come in, can I have the right to bitch and moan about, hey, why they're getting this, that, and that?
Well, I think it's one thing if the homeless people, for example, who are citizens over here, it's one thing if, if they were bitching and moaning about their own citizens, you know what I'm saying, then I wouldn't understand it. But for somebody, it's like you and I working hard, and then the money that we work hard for don't go to our kids, it go to somebody else's kids. And we like, well, wait a minute. I work hard for this money. This should go toward my people. Why are you giving my money to somebody else? I worked hard to take care of my people here, for example. So
right. And that's the same example I'm saying about the wealthy. They're saying, hey, we've worked hard for this money. We want to keep it and keep it in our family. But you see middle class people talking about they need to pay more taxes. They need to open up more jobs. They need to do this with their money. So the same thing you just said about us, I'm saying you can't say the same about the rich because they're making money. I'm not saying you in general. Yeah, I'm not saying you in general. I'm just saying the people that's making the argument. So you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. If this is what you want, keep your money, invest it in your kids and your family, that's fine. But when the rich does the same thing, people can't argue about that neither.
Right. And I'm in total agreement, because for all the people that complain about, here's the funny thing, because you're right, middle class and poor complain about the rich. But then we'll go ahead and play the lottery, and then when we get rich, and then those same things apply to us, now it's a problem.
That's
you understand what I'm saying? Why?
That's
Which is why when I have conversations with other middle class and poor people, I tell them, be careful for what you ask. Because if you want to punish people for being success or however which way they got their money,
correct,
one day you might become that person, or your kid might become that person. And then you're going to look at it from a totally different perspective.
That's right. I can give you an example. Like the old folks used to be mad at these girls and stuff that was collecting food stamps. And me at a young age, I didn't know. So I'm right with them. You know, me being nosy. Yeah, they don't deserve this and deserve that, until Sky Black one day had to get on food stamps and EBT. Right. Now you will never hear me talk about anybody that's on EBT.
Right. Because and that's what I think our tax dollars really should be for. It should be to help, people get on their feet. Do I think that people need to be living off of them? That it need to be generations of people? That's not what government assistance, that's what the government intended it for, but that's not really what it should be intended for. But I understand why the government allow it, though.
But you know what gets me, though? Okay, so let's go back to these immigrants that's coming in, right? The majority of them will do what you just said. They will be thankful that they got 6 months free rent, they got food, their kids can go to school, and I guarantee you in less than a year, those people will get together, start businesses, and move away. The middle class, especially the black people, no. They're the ones that's going to stay on it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Then their kids are going to stay on it. Then their grandkids are going to stay on it. But those are the same people that's complaining. So that's what I'm saying. You want to complain about what's going on with you, but when somebody else is trying to do the same thing, oh no, you can't come in my territory. You can't do that. But these people that are coming in, they are. I guess as an American, I guess we are. Let's put it this way. The people that are coming in that's just getting whatever they can, they're more humble. So when these folks are coming into Chicago and they're getting the rent paid for 6 months, they're getting food, they're getting clothes, their kids getting educated, I guarantee you, they will not stay on the system like other people do.
Well, I think that our community, especially our community, man, we were bamboozled. Yeah. We were hoodwinked. Man, Sky, I don't know if you ever watch my TikToks. Most of the time, I don't actually do them I don't post them on Facebook. But I was talking about this, right? Mm-hmm. And now we're about to probably turn to a whole nother page. I don't really want to get into the politic parts of it. Mm-hmm. But let's say, like, I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine. We were talking about segregation. Right. Now, we were only fighting against segregation 50, 60 years ago. So that was during our parents and grandparents' day, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, people went over people's heads. We were fighting against segregation 3 years ago. Do you know what that segregation was?
What's that?
It came in the form of COVID. You can't go to you shouldn't be allowed to go to the grocery store if you didn't get this vaccination. Mm-hmm. Or remember at Bridgestone, you couldn't show up at an event if you didn't show your vaccination card.
I remember that.
That is segregation.
Yeah, you're right. But okay, so if you add in the politics to what we're saying, Illinois and Chicago is, and I could be wrong, but it's either Democratic or
it's all liberal. It's totally liberal.
So you bring in hundreds of thousands of folks out of these countries and give them a safe space. That's just the word I'm using. Guess what? They're gonna vote when they eventually become full-blooded American citizens. Even if they become rich, guess what? They're gonna vote to the people who let them come in.
Yep. And so basically, in essence, they're being used to replace.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 I can see that too. So with economy, so when you say oh, America's really free, right? Are you just saying in general, or are we free from our government? Because you can't name
That's the
something that
question.
the government either tax, regulates, or controls.
Right.
You
And
can't
that is
name nothing that it doesn't, right?
and
And
that's
so,
really the question. Are
right,
we free? And because you know how we see protests going on for
right.
this country, that country over there. But should we be saying free Americans from its politicians? Because it
Correct. And you
seems
know
like
what? Go ahead.
go ahead.
Now, I was gonna say, and the one things that I listen to Republicans on, they want a smaller government. They want government to stay out of people's lives, right? Stay out of states' businesses. But think of the government as a parent, right? Think of that, right? Think of you, and you say you have 3 daughters, right?
Right.
If you do something for one daughter, can you not do it for the other two? No. If you do something for one daughter, you're going to make sure you do it for all 3.
Of
The
course.
United States government, if something happens in Texas, the other 49 states are going to be like, well, if you help Texas, you got to help us. So this is what keeps the government huge, because they know you can't segregate the states. If you're giving Idaho $500,000 to do whatever, you better be giving Maine, South Dakota. So when Republicans are talking about a smaller government, how can they do that if the government is acting like a daddy over 50 kids, and whatever you do for one child, you can't turn your back on the other 49?
Well, let me tell you the kind of daddy that the U.S. government is.
Mm-hmm.
I figured this out. The U.S. government is the daddy that got its own kids. For example, Maui is one of his children, Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
But then go over to Ukraine and give Ukraine millions and billions of dollars, and then tell the people their own children, here goes $700.
Okay, so they take care of the illegitimate kids first. Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that's Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That's a lot of them, then, yeah. Because I always say Puerto Rico is the 51st state. People just don't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but let me put a spin on it.
Right.
Let's put this funny spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
They borrow money from their kids to give it to their illegitimate kids. You know what I'm saying? And then when the kids need something, they gonna be like the kids have lost their house. You know what I'm saying? The car that blew up, and then they ain't got nothing but like maybe one sheet. They ain't even got no shoes on their feet, no socks. They got shirt, pants, underwear, and a sheet. And then you just say, "Here goes $700."
That's right. So then, I guess as the federal government, or back in the day they call it the central government, what do you do? What's best for the American people? Trying to shelter everybody as a huge parent, or saying, hey, y'all grown now, y'all go amongst yourself? Because a lot of people don't understand the reason the central government or the federal government got so big is because the states started fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah.
Like in Alabama, you could have been 16 to get a driver's license, right? But if you drove into Mississippi where the law was 21, you would get ticketed and locked up. So you had to have somebody to come in and say, hey, y'all got to quit fighting like kids.
Right. And you make a great point, because from state to state, the laws are so, they very different.
Yes.
And you're right. With something that's legal here, just like our right to carry. Well, we can carry here, cross them state lines into a Pacific state if you want to, and let's see if that works the same way.
Right. So the only state that I know that gives us love is Texas. So if you in Tennessee like me, you got your license to carry like I do, I can go to Texas and I'm good. But you better not get caught in New York. New York, no civilians can have guns. I don't care if you have no record. If you get caught with a gun in New York, that's 5 years. Only policemen and law enforcement are able to carry in the state of New York.
So in hindsight, y'all, he telling y'all, don't move your ass to New York. Somebody breaking your house with a gun and you got like a little stick, you ain't got a chance. So don't take your ass to New York. Sure.
Hey, if you love guns and rifles, go to Texas, man. That you can't go into nobody's yard without seeing a rifle somewhere or a gun. You know, Texas just don't care like that. They love that. NRA is their best friend. Put it that way.
Shoot, NRA is my best friend too.
Yeah,
I need to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? I mean, man, no disrespect, because I love law enforcement and I love the people that do any public works, right?
Right.
But I'm gonna be real.
That's
Sometimes when we call y'all, man, you know that man passed away 45 minutes ago. And we called y'all, man, an hour. You know, sometimes it takes law enforcement, and I get it, because this is not a good time where people want to be cops. I know I wouldn't want to be a cop. First and foremost, I wouldn't be a good cop, because I know our Billy Club people already. I know our Billy Club, y'all, make me run more than I have to. And I'm out of breath and I catch you, I already know it's over for you. You know, it just be like your parent. Run away from your parent and see if things gonna not get real when they catch up to you.
Correct.
Am I right?
Right. You might as well take the butt whooping now, because if you run, it's gonna be even worse when they catch you. You was absolutely correct. You right.
And I'm saying,
Right
so the same rules that apply to your parents apply to law enforcement. Like if your parent was trying to get you to do something and you fighting against it, it ain't gonna end well. I'm sorry.
Never does it? Nope.
So,
You're right about that.
You know, but as far as them states that they don't carry, you won't find me in y'all places, not even visiting. No, sir.
I visited New York once. You know, I just want to visit all 50 states before I die. So New York, I got a chance to visit. Hey, I don't know if I'll ever go back, but at least I can say I've been there. You know, and then I'm gonna try to go to Philadelphia next year. So that'll not check that off. You know what I'm saying?
Man, be careful where you go. And in any place, let me tell you, before I go, I gotta know the neighborhood. I gotta know at least a few of the laws, and I gotta know the do's and don'ts. Man, when it comes to a lot of these liberal places, a lot of these places where they empower criminals more than everyday citizens, I have second thoughts. Same with like California. You couldn't catch me in Hollywood. I don't care how many stars y'all got on them. All them stars got pee and doo-doo on them. So why would I want to go see them anyway? Y'all let people defecate on the stars and urinate on them.
Yeah, the homeless is just terrible in California. But again, we back. Are Americans free from the government? Are Americans free from police? Are Americans free from what do you call it, the news? Because when we watch Monday Night Football, you don't see that stuff. You don't see the homeless, the pee, the doo-doo things. You see a beautiful city, a skyline. Then they zoom into the stadium, and there you go.
Somebody pushing the grocery cart. That's one thing. That's the first. If the homeless people had a care package, you ever see them little memes? If they had a care package, the grocery cart would be up there. You know this.
No, I have not seen that. And so we was going to Miami one time where the Dolphins played. I don't know if they still play at that same stadium, but this is 2017. So it's the same stadium Dan Marino was in, right? Do you know it's in the hood? Do you know the street that you drive down is nothing but projects everywhere? And then as it opens up, there is the Dolphin Stadium. Like Disney World.
Is it still called Raymond James?
I think so. I can't remember. I can't remember the stadium with the one that Dan Marino played in all those years. I don't know if they still play there. Raymond James Stadium. Okay. Even Disneyland, right? Or is it Disney World? Which one is in Florida? Disney World?
I think it's Disney. I think it's Disney World.
Yeah, Disney World. Y'all, if y'all have never been to Disney World, it's surrounded by the hood. Like he said, the homeless people, the peanut, it's all on the outside. But they don't show you that when you see these commercials. You see on the Epcot Center, the inside, all this stuff. Go to Disney during the day, and you is in the hood, and you are around some people that don't look. Because I was there, I know. I ain't tell you what I heard. I'm telling you what I saw.
Man, that's crazy, man. I'm trying to think of something else, like
And then again, like you were saying with the taxes. Because at one point in time there was no taxes, right? I mean, was no income. It was no income tax. I mean, the government, they still had like TARFs and stuff to make their money or whatever. But back then in the 1800s, when John D. Rockefeller was running thing, he wasn't being taxed. He wasn't doing none of that stuff.
Well, somebody asked this question, and I was like, this is a really good question. What other countries in the world that are taxing their people, taking their people's money, sending it to us?
None.
When have you ever heard America?
America, I don't know.
Right, like when have we ever heard Americans getting the yen, or getting any rubies or anything to help Americans?
Because we are supposed to be the country that polices the world, and that's another problem too. That's another problem. So if your big brother is the one beating up everybody, I don't expect to hear you helping your big brother beat up somebody. He'll come and help you beat up somebody, but you helping him, that's not how it's supposed to work, right? If America's supposed to be the big brother.
I don't know how we the big brother. We got
a lot of enemies too, man. We got a lot of enemies because in 2000, when Bush got into office, one of the things he was trying to do was Americanize the world, and you can't do that. There'll never be peace in the Middle East. There are countries, their women are always going to be wrapped up from the neck to their feet. There's going to be countries where women don't have no rights, no say-sos. Some places in the Middle East, a woman can't walk around without a husband. She better not be caught walking around solo. She better be with her husband. You can't put that Western society ideology everywhere. They don't like it. They don't want their children listening to hip hop music and all that old stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what started a lot of enemies in the 2000s, was because he's trying to press this. Everybody should be free. Everybody should. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not how it works. Because we're only 250 something years old. How you gonna tell countries that's been around for 10, 50, 100,000 years how they should be living?
And it would be like, could you imagine going over to their homeland, blowing up their family members and everything, and then letting their countrymen freely into the country where they actually on America's soil chanting death to America? Shoot, I do not feel safe. Man, in New York, I'm watching them. In DC, they're up there on the streets chanting death to America. Man, I'm glad I ain't in one of them big cities. Y'all can have that. I don't need no car bombs or nothing like that. That's some scary stuff. You go blow up their people, then talk about, come on over here, we free. And now they on your soil chanting death to you. And you cheering like, yes, free their people, free their people.
I tell folks, people are fickle. Depending on when they wake up, it just depends on the person you get. In my mind, and it's just my mind only, the person that you was yesterday died. When you went to sleep, that person died. It's a new you today. You know what I'm saying? So that's why sometimes you can't understand humans, because they are so fickle from one day to another, man. It is. Because I don't understand that neither. I agree with you on that. I don't get that.
Right. And it's like, and you know, for a couple years, man, it was peace over there. I can't even remember prior to these last couple months where I heard anything about the Gaza Strip. Can you recall anything, any news? Because, you know, for years, they had been fighting for years.
Yeah. I didn't know who Gaza was until lately. Like, I ain't gonna even lie to you. Like, I didn't know nothing about that. Nothing at all.
Yeah, in the 80s and the 90s, there was always, man, they were always fighting.
Oh, yeah.
During the Clinton era, the Bush era, you know, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if DT went over there and did some kind of deal, a peaceful deal, but it was peaceful.
Right.
And now I'm looking and I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, this looked like some stuff that was in the 80s. You know, in the 80s, it seemed like they fought all decade.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And then with that being said, so if the United States government is supposed to take care of the people of the United States first, and then if we have something left over, help others, what is the UN for? I thought after World War II, this was the reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of reasons why they started UN, but in public. They started the UN so the United States wouldn't have to be in everybody's business. You have the UN that's supposed to help these other countries so we can take care of home. What is Homeland Security for if we don't take care of home?
Which makes me ask this question. How many pockets do our politicians have their hands in? You see what I'm saying? Because you asked a great question. If the UN is who really are supposed to police the world, well, we are only supposed to pay a certain amount into the UN. Right. I don't think we should have to put a larger amount for it, just like I don't think the rich should have to pay more because they're rich. Just because we're the biggest country, I think everybody should have to pay their fair share. With that said, why are we taking care of other countries? We don't even take care of our soldiers. Like anybody that go to the military and they're in the military for a certain amount of years, right. All of these homes that we have abandoned, there's no reason why we don't have programs that when these soldiers come back, that their families have homes to go to. Their families should have access to homes that were abandoned, maybe put through rehabilitation, rebuilt for military families. Why are they coming back homeless? And they're not on why aren't we having mental health programs for them? Or, drug addicted programs for them? Why are we funding money to other countries that never really, they don't pour back into the America as far as the people, maybe the politicians, but they don't really give to the people itself. So it's really like that's what made me pose the question, are Americans free? And I mean Americans of all colors and creed. All of us. Are we really free? Who has more power? The U.S. citizens or the politicians? It seems like the politicians have way too much power.
I agree. And if you ask me today, the government has all the power, but the government is supposed to be for the people, right? Us, the people. We knew we couldn't have 200 million people sitting in the Congress. So for one U.S. representative, it's supposed to be representing 600,000 people. So that 600,000 selects their smartest person, sends them to Capitol Hill. Everybody gets to do that or whatever. Well, just because you send them there and they're smart and they're supposed to represent you, don't mean that they don't get corrupted on the way through the journey. Do you see what I'm saying? I'll take it back to Hitler. When Hitler was in jail, his intentions were good because he wrote a book about how he wanted to take over, become chancellor, and do all this stuff. But once he got to the journey, got the power, he became a whole different Hitler. So This is what they need to find out when you're voting for people. I mean, you can't read everybody and predict the future. But I think that's just what has happened once these people, because they have access to stuff that we don't, Damo. Like, so you just take the Constitution for an example. Who actually reads that damn thing, to be honest with you? But politicians probably do. And they see the loopholes in the Constitution all the time. And once you find those loopholes that me and you ain't looking for, then that's when you start becoming corrupt. Oh, well, they'll never know this. This is why we can get away with it, because who knows what we're doing and what we're not doing. And when they don't want you to know, what's that C word they use? Classified.
And here's even proof that they don't want you to know. The Constitution is written how? In what? It's not printed. It's in cursive.
yeah, it's in cursive, yes.
Is cursive still being taught in schools?
Heck no. I had to do that.
So it make you wonder. If you can't write cursive, you can't read cursive. And if you can't read cursive, guess what?
He was right. And you know what? I need to find something that's in cursive to see if I can still read it, because I had to learn how to write in cursive and I had to learn how to read in cursive. So I think I'm still good. I can write in cursive, but I need somebody else to write in cursive and let me get the head right to see if I can still read in cursive.
You know what's so deep about that?
What's that?
when you go ahead and do the paperwork for a house, everything is written in what, for the most part?
Regular letters.
It's signature.
Not in cursive. It's on printed paper. Yeah.
But when we had to do ours, we signed more signatures, which is cursive.
Which is cursive, right?
Than print.
That's absolutely correct. You're right about that. So if you go back to 1776, whenever we won, they had ink and they had papaya, which is African trees that get turned into paper, right?
Right.
So the English that they was writing was, I guess they just wrote it in cursive. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you couldn't tell those folks, those forefathers, that women were going to have rights and blacks were going to be free, there was going to always be holes in the Constitution, because all of them guys knew they weren't going to live to see 2023. They knew that. They wrote a Constitution for their time. So as long as you never redo the Constitution, there's always going to be holes in it, and there's always going to be corruption.
Yep.
Because think about it, John Adams didn't know no damn Amazon was going to exist. He didn't know nothing about no damn Kroger's and Walmart. That ain't what they did. They lived off the land. Blacks were two-fifths of a person. So now all of a sudden, we're changing as a society, but our foundation has not changed. So when you ask, are Americans really free? Well, we supposed to be free when we won our independence. I think the only people that are supposed to be free were white men with money and land, because that's who wrote the Constitution and that's who was running America before the 1900s.
Right.
So when people say white privilege, when people say, oh, you're a white man and you got white privilege, I understand where they're coming from, because it was white men with white privilege who wrote the Constitution. No black man, no Chinese man, no Asian man, none of them folks wrote the Constitution and signed it.
Right.
We fought in the war, though. Blacks fought in the Revolutionary War. Asians, Chinese, Indians, they fought in the Revolutionary War. But when it was all said and done, did we get any of the freedom pie?
I say this too. I want to leave with this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only real privilege in America is financial privilege. Meaning that when you got money, you can live in gated communities. You can take your children to other places that your children are going to attend schools that the majority of people's children can't afford.
Right.
Most of the time, you can even homeschool your children. Most middle class and poor people can't do that, right? So I think a lot of times in our country, we get caught up in the colorism of privilege, but the real privilege, there's things that LeBron James can do or Oprah Winfrey can do that a poor homeless white person can't do.
Right.
I don't care how white you are. If you homeless, I'm going home to a warm bed. You not.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't look you in the eye and say you any privilege, and you out there on a day like today, shaking like a leaf, jingling the can with 1 quarter in it, man, for 10 hours begging for money. And I'm in a warm car that I work hard for, going to a house that I work hard for.
Correct.
It's hard for me to look you in the eyes and say, well, you still got privilege over me. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I think in America, it's rich privilege. And the issue that I have is our politicians are getting rich off of our dollar, and they're not serving people. They're not taking care of their constituents the way that they are. And we have too many abandoned schools, too many abandoned homes, and we're getting taxed too much to not see where our monies are going. Like, for example, we pay money for these roads. Do these roads look like we've been paying money for them?
Nope.
Clarksville Highway, they've been working on it for the last 4.5 years. Where's my money going? That's just like, Sky, if I went to you and I said, Sky, I need to borrow 100, man. They about to cut off my electric. And then you like, cool, Dame. I know you good for it. You know what I'm saying? I trust you. This is the first time, but I'm gonna trust in you that you're gonna give me my money back. And then, man, 3 days later, you come to my house to visit me, and I ain't got no electricity. And I also ain't got that $100. How you gonna feel?
Pretty sad because I did trust you. You know what I'm saying?
And that's how we feel with the American government with our tax dollars.
And I like that example that you just said, because if we ever do a show about credit and credit history, I want to use that example. So I'm going to note that because that's an example that's good about folks when we talk about building and rebuilding your credit. But yeah, I get that. I've had that done, actually, to be honest with you, you know, but you learn your lesson. You know, if I didn't learn from it, that would be the problem.
And I feel like that's the best way to describe our government. They are borrowing. They borrow from us, and we never see the result. We never see, it's not paid back where we benefit from it. We're always giving them money, and we never see the results. Like, look around and what's really, think about how much we get taxed and what has really improved in our country.
Well, I won't say the country because I can't speak for other states, but you know, your gasoline tax is what's supposed to fix the roads. So TDOT, that's how they get paid. When we pay gasoline, that taxes in the gasoline goes to them to fix the roads and do everything that needs to be done. And I get it. Most of Nashville is pothole city. Some of these other little places is pothole city. But you go to Williamson County, it's smooth sailing. So you're absolutely right. I don't know if the politicians in Nashville are corrupt and the ones in Williamson County is not, because whatever they're doing in Williamson County, they're taking care of theirs. Even though it's much higher, they're taking care of theirs. But in Davidson County, what are they doing with this money? So I can answer that as far as Nashville and Tennessee. The rest of the world, the rest of the country, I can't. Our infrastructure, you know, the Jefferson Street Bridge, it was supposed to be rebuilt a long time ago. Do you remember that bridge in Minnesota that collapsed? Well, these bridges are about the same age. They still have never tried to upgrade the Jefferson Street Bridge. They're probably going to wait until it collapses and kill people. Then they will upgrade the Jefferson Street Bridge.
Think about this. They're just now updating the Broadway Bridge.
Yeah.
Broadway, when you drive on that, you can literally feel that it feels like it's going to fall apart.
Going to fall apart, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right about that.
Because and they just now rebuilt it. But I'm going to tell you, man, these potholes, especially on I-40, it's horrible. Man, I hit a pothole so hard, my ball sack flew out my drawer, smacked the flying kid. I said, y'all need to fix this shit right here, man. I felt like Snoop Dogg and them in L.A. I thought I had switches. I'm looking at my car, I thought I had switches. Like I was like, I know I didn't take my car to Cartronics.
Oh yeah, you got to be careful. And the thing that they do, because I just got one, it's a census paper, right?
Right.
So every city can know how many people is there, and the reason they do it is so how much money they can get, right? But if you know your city is growing, that means there's more vehicles coming up and down these major highways and major roads. You need to take care of that. They know that it's a mass exodus coming out of California. I think California's about to lose a representative. They've lost so many people. California might end up losing a representative, and we might end up gaining one. We might end up having 13 electorals instead of 12, because everybody's coming to Tennessee because of the way it's more easier on business. So you bring in all these extra people, you have to fix these foundations and roads. You're building apartment complexes, but you're not fixing the roads. I'm not getting it.
You know what? Let me tell you. California only got 2 parts of its population.
Right.
Hollywood, homeless. That's it. And the homeless people are working 2 jobs to be homeless. They can't even afford a studio apartment. That's how bad it is in California. So
That's
I
right.
had a conversation. I know we got to get ready to close the show out, but I want to make this quick point. So I
Okay.
was having a conversation with somebody from California, and I was like, well, what brings you to Nashville? And they were like, well, my house in California was $900,000.
Mm-hmm.
I got a house double the size of that for 600,000. So
Mm-hmm.
I was able to sell my house in California, move here, own a house that's double the size as the one I
Mm-hmm.
had in California.
That's right.
And that's why I'm here. But guess who that has affected?
People
The
that's already
local.
here. Yeah, the locals. Yeah, yeah. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because I mean, there's God ain't here making no more land. So the more babies we having, the more people that's coming into the country. Again, I've said it. Hopefully, I'm in the ground by the time it all explodes. Because not too long ago, Texas wanted to secede from the Union when Rick Perry was governor. Do you remember that? They had over 800,000 signatures. But I was like, y'all, this ain't the 1800s. It ain't gonna take them
Man,
6 months on a horse to come down there and annex y'all. They got jets that'll be from DC to Texas in 30 minutes. So don't even try to pray like y'all are
man,
gonna
I
leave the
told
Union.
somebody this. They actually, I actually almost went Bible for saying this. I was like, man, if they ever brought segregation back, I would like to be
Mhm.
segregated from liberals. And I was like, liberals they were the ones fighting for it 3 years ago. They were the ones telling people that if you don't get this vaccination, you shouldn't be able to go to work. You shouldn't be able to have your job.
Right.
They literally were firing people, giving people the ultimatum. Do this or you can't do this.
And that's not right. You're not supposed to be able to do that.
Right.
Because
So
what are you accomplishing, right? So if you give me the vaccine for COVID, hell, I might die from the flu. So what difference does it make?
remember they were doing it.
Are you gonna make me take a vaccine for the cold, the flu, COVID, diseases, cancer? Like then you talking about 20, 30 vaccines just to live?
And you really think about it, it wasn't just people that about their jobs. It was military people, personnel.
Yeah.
People forget we have short. I think the problem with our society is we have short-term memory.
Mm-hmm.
Telling people they can't go and bury their loved one. Meanwhile, they had politicians that were going to beauty salons, going out to eat. But here it is, you couldn't go to the nursery home to see your elderly parent. They passed, and then you didn't even get the burial.
Right.
You couldn't go to work. Either you had to take this vaccination or you couldn't work your job. And
Right.
then, I mean, think about that. So at this job, I'm making 70, 80,000. You're telling me if I don't get this vaccination, I gotta quit. So now I'm gonna go to a job making 30, 40,000. Is that fair? Is
No,
that
it's not fair.
equality?
That's not. So then what are they trying to do? Because was the vaccine free? Was it free or did you have to pay for it?
And that was the other thing. The vaccination was free, but insulin wasn't free.
Gotcha.
No other
Then once you get
medicine.
a booster shot, like, okay, first you
They're
tell me to
free.
get a vaccine, then you tell me I need 2 booster shots.
Now it's up to 4 or 5.
When
And
God
then
ready
it
to
was
call y'all
like,
home, you going. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm sorry.
right,
So I'm the type that, for years I've been against the flu shot, and luckily I've never gotten the flu,
right.
but I just feel like hell, because the flu shot, all vaccines, they just gives you a part of the symptoms, so you can build up the antibodies. So when you actually get it, your body knows how to fight it. Because
Yeah,
there
so
was a doctor
actually,
that told me that he had more people sick from the vaccine than actual COVID itself.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
There's no
like,
cure. It's just that's what they do.
so when you have a government giving you that kind of ultimatum, are we really free?
No, but then you can get into another subject called population control because
Yes.
overseas, they don't have no problem talking about, well, we're going to kill half of our country because it's overcrowded. United States won't say that. So they'll make you take a vaccine that'll kill half of the country. Oops, we didn't know. Oops, I'm sorry that your loved one is dead because of overpopulation. So that could be a whole different subject right there.
Man, it might be one that we have to, have a conversation about.
Oh, yeah, because it's getting there. I mean, we at 300 and something million there. Man, when we get to 600 million people, I believe a war is going to break out because you're not going to be, it's going to be like being in a club. You're going to be elbow to elbow with folks by the time the United States gets to 600 million.
Right.
So, that's crazy. Because they're saying that 4.9 million babies are born every year in the United States, right? So that means
it's going to be more than that.
50 million
it's
babies. It's
going to be more than that with immigration.
Oh, yeah. So that means every 10 years there's 50 million babies being born in the United States. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, how long can you sustain that?
You take a pizza. If you take a pizza, you cut it to 10 slices or 8 slices, we all got a nice size slice of pizza.
Right.
But if you start cutting those into 8, each slice into 8.
You're right. And so this is why we're supposed to elect the smartest people to go to state government, local governments, federal governments to figure this stuff out. Not only are they supposed to figure out what's going on today, but they're supposed to figure out how to the future. And these people talking about, well, let's live underwater. Let's go to Mars. Let's live on the moon. This is the best you come up with. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo. Yeah.
You ain't lying, man. But Sky, it has been awesome. We went over, man.
I just hope that the people watching got some type of good information about what we're saying. And I hope tonight at everybody's dinner table, without fighting, that you ask the same question: are Americans really free? You know, your mama's a liberal and your dad is a conservative. We don't want them to divorce over this conversation. We just want to have an open conversation of what you think about America and where it stands today.
Because this question really is about it's not predicated on one party or another.
Correct.
Or another, including independents. I'm gonna include y'all too. It's a really open question to all of us.
Correct.
Should we start thinking about our government and how much power they have? And then look at how much power and freedom we have. Are we really free? We're being censored.
Oh, yeah.
There's certain things I can't even remember a time where we've been censored so much. Remember the shows, even as far as television. We grew up in the times of Archie Bunker, where it was subliminal racism, and we all laughed it off, and we didn't take it personal.
Right.
But now everything is like so personal now, to the degree of somebody can say this, but then this person over here better not say that. And correct. So, man, we slowly being stripped of different freedoms, and we need to be careful, all of us, regardless of the party that you support.
That is absolutely correct. And the reason I honestly say yes is because this act they have been trying to pass for years, and they couldn't get it passed. But then 9/11 happened.
Right.
Got the Patriot Act passed. So now when they passed the Patriot Act, if y'all don't know what that is, go read it. Your freedoms was taken away like that.
Yeah.
Because, back in the day when they was trying to chase people like Al Capone, John Gotti, it was against the rules to bug certain places and to do this and do that. They had to find a way around the rules to bug their houses and to bug their phones. Patriot Act? Oh, no. Mm-hmm. Knock on your door and you'll watch them unscrew your phone and plug it in there and stick it back down. Oh, yeah. So that's what
you better not say nothing when they do it. Huh? You better not say nothing when they do it.
Yeah, that's why so many major cities got these cameras now that takes a picture of you, your license plate. With the Patriot Act, it gave room for all of that. All of that. And it's not going to end. They're going to put cameras in places, except for bathrooms. But they're going to put camera in places to where you won't even think camera should
even
be.
though there is a camera. I
Yeah,
believe
even though there is a camera.
to be
That's it.
real, I believe it's possible they can be in these digital TVs.
Well, why you think everything has a camera now? My computer has a camera, my phone has a camera, my
Yeah.
tablet has a camera, my TV has a camera. So when the federal government needs to find out where you are, they just hit a couple of clicks on the keyboard, all that'll pull up. Because remember, what does the federal government don't tax, control, and regulate? They regulate the phone systems and all that stuff. AT&T and Sprint and Viacom, all these places that you get your internet and your telephone. That's a part of I can't think of what they use. National something. They regulate that stuff. So if Damo, you wanted to start a internet company, or if you wanted to start a telephone company, we would have to get a license from the federal government. So that way, if a crime broke down, they can come to us and say, "Hey, print out this conversation. Go back and pick up the video from this and that." Like, the police can do that on your phone. They have to
be out here
who
thinking
you talk to, who the last person you text, and all that stuff. Yeah,
right.
National
So
security. National security. That's what I was trying to say. National security.
Right. So y'all out here to think that people snitching on y'all need to rethink. The government may already have information about you. You just didn't know they had that information.
Yeah, back in the day, we had what we call burner phones, right?
Right.
So you can go to Walmart and get you a phone and turn it on without putting in your information. Because
Right.
like Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, you gotta give them your name, your social security number. So if you commit a crime, they know where you at. So you would go to Walmart and buy a burner phone, but you didn't have to do all that stuff, right? You just bought the minutes and you threw the phone away. Well, guess what the government started doing? Do you remember when the government started giving you free phones with up to 150 free minutes? And the only thing you had to do was make one phone call a month? Come on now.
Yep.
Do you remember that? I don't know if they do it anymore, but the government was giving away free phones with a free 150 minutes every month. And the only thing you had to do, especially if you was on welfare and in the projects, was make one phone call a month. That's it.
Which is, that's surrendering. And that to me is surrendering freedom.
That's it. That's it.
That's really what people are doing, man. They're surrendering freedom. They're
so
giving the government freedom.
I know you're ready to leave, but you got to be careful when you say I am a U.S. citizen, because that means something.
Yep.
That could be another topic we can talk about. Just remember, when you say I'm a U.S. citizen, what that actually means.
Yep. Those are, you know what? I'm going to find a way. We're going to make them subjects. We're going to have a long discussion about those. Because you bring up some really good points that I didn't even think about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they try to keep up with Americans. Like, you know how people go and get sharks and try to keep up with them? Well, how do you keep up with sharks when they all look alike? They tag them. They tag deers and they tag cows. Well, do you remember when Walmart and Kroger's and Publix came up with those little scan cards that you could put on your keychain? They were tagging us. They were tagging us. So every time you bought groceries, scan your Plus card. They wanted to know who you was and where you came from.
I'll give you something else. They've been tagging us long before that, Sky.
Oh, okay.
The social security number ain't nothing but a barcode.
That's it. That's absolutely it. That's it. And that's why it's against the law to fake your death. Because when you fake your death, they get rid of it. But I don't know about the Machiavelli law. After 7 years, you're free. I'm not going to try it. You know what I'm saying? No, but I heard that after 7 years, they couldn't lock you up, but I ain't really tried it.
Me too. Right. Well, I wanted to say this too, man, because it's Halloween for all the little kids out there.
Happy Halloween. And be careful out there.
Any of y'all parents out there are going to take y'all kids trick-or-treating, please check their candy. Don't let them touch anything. Because there was a report that I forget where it was, but somebody was taking Skittles, the little candy bag of Skittles, dipping them in liquid fentanyl. So before y'all go out here and y'all take y'all kids trick-or-treating, make sure you have, thank God I got a howl. Because if I had my howl, I put every piece of candy up to his nose. He got a good, he let me know something off.
Right.
Find a way to check your kids' candy properly.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. Y'all be safe. If you have the right to carry as you walk up and down these neighborhoods. You know, I mean, I just want everybody to have a good time. Because back in the day, the bigger kids would take candy from the smaller kids. That ain't how that is no more. If somebody's coming, they're not trying to rob you for no candy. Trust me, them days are gone. So y'all be careful. Be careful out here.
Most definitely, man. Hey, Sky, it's always an honor and a pleasure, man. And
Same here.
Full gratitude to be a partner with you on this podcast. I'm glad we didn't have no interruptions. Yes. We had a 4-hour 25, and I think I figured out what it was.
What's that?
I think I have to clean my cookies and my history and my storage before I do a show. I hate it. Well, next week's show, the show we had last week, I would love to run that back. That was a great show, and I hated that the quality was like that. But thank God things worked out today. So,
well, this is no shots at the people because we love having guests. But I noticed anytime we have guests, that's when you have that problem. Me and you have never had that problem. But when we have a guest on, that's when you have that problem.
Yeah, and so I may have to wait until I get another platform to even have a third guest. It might just be us for a while, which I'm fine with.
Because you gotta realize the last guest we had, he was an awesome guy. You weren't even live and still was having no problems. You was recording that and was having no problems. Yeah.
Yep. So it'll probably be us from now on. I am totally happy and satisfied with that. I had fun on today's show. Again, I would like to tell everybody be safe and make sure y'all, Sky, what day can they listen to your show also?
Oh, Tuesdays.
Talk Radio?
Yes, Tuesdays. So it's scheduled for every Tuesday, man, from like 6 to 9, maybe 6 to 10, depending on how many songs I have or whatever. So, and then when I get a chance, I'm gonna start going live on there. You'll know because you'll see me interacting with people on my social media. But right now, I'm just letting the radio show do its thing because I don't have to be there. I can be doing other things. And then again, it's also shouts out to Malfunction, man. Yes, thank you for watching and quoting. And I had to wear the hat. Malfunction is a Bronco fan too. So
right, that's
why he said, "Can you see that Damo when he talked to me?" Or you can't.
Let me go. Let me try to slide down because.
Okay, no, he can't see it. Okay, I can only see it. Gotcha. Okay. Well, he was just talking about nice haircut with Bronco fans or whatever. But then, once the show is over, the music videos from the artists that do the music videos is on the site. Their music is streaming on offtoprecords.net. So again, I'm still here helping the independent artists. For all you artists out there that's like, I don't know where to go, what to do. Once I get to record my music, what's next? I'm here. You can hit me up. Get the radio play, get the streaming. It is what it is.
All right, man.
Don't get about my podcast, CEO Cartel. I want all CEOs, all bosses, all chairmen, man. We need to get together, and just have conversations about whatever you want to talk about. Real world, real life. That's what it's called, the CEO Cartel. Let's be a cartel, a bunch of bosses. Let's get together and let's make some changes.
Man, I love to hear it, man. I'm actually, man, let me know when. Have you had the first show for that, or are you?
I was going to do it last Thursday, but something came up. So I'm hoping this Thursday night, but I don't know because you say you work third shift. So my goal was.
I changed. I'm in the middle of a job change.
Okay.
And so I'll get a new schedule this week. I'll let you know. Because if I'm open Thursday, I would love I want to listen anyway and promote. Yes. I'm really big on that, promoting whatever you got going on. So
yes, well, please come on. Anybody that wants to come on that. Because my marketing strategy was to do like late nights. So I was going to do like 10 at night, 11 at night for the people who have insomnia and can't sleep. Because during the day, you have so much content you can watch during the day. I understand that. So my business plan, my vision statement, all that stuff is get those few people that are always up on third shift and see if I can draw them into my podcast. Because third shift, you probably ain't got a lot to listen to or a bunch of stuff to watch. And even if you at work, you can listen to me on your phone for those who are like sitting in cubicles and things where they can't watch TV, or if they doing security and they just want to listen, stuff like that, man.
Right. Well, great luck to you, man. Make sure you tag me and you send that information to me so I can, because I'm connected to a lot of independent people who got their own business. So I would love to plug them into the show.
Good. Because I think I already have your email address, right? Because I can send you the link right now to it, to the email, or whenever I'm ready for you to same way you done for me to do this. It's gonna be the opposite. I'm gonna do for you, and then you'll come on to there. Yes.
Cross promotion, man. That's where it's at.
Yes, it is. But Gus, every Tuesday, I'm glad to be on the Nashville Cave, man. Thank you so much. Because again, I've been trying to find people who had the time to do this, and God answered my prayers.
Man, thank you too, man. I feel like I'm the blessed one. And as you always say before this show, we are all blessed when we on this half of the dirt.
Amen. You're right.
So, hey, you guys have a great rest of the week. God bless y'all, man. Peace. We out. Thank y'all for tuning in.